Good morning. Good morning. Happy week 2, everybody. If you're in the chat, say good morning. Let me know how you guys are doing. Big day. Always like week 2. I think there's some stuff that, you can take advantage of, whether it be in the prop streets, whether it be the DFS streets, everyone overreacting to week 1 or just assuming that what we saw in week 1 is going to carry over and continue and happen once again in week 2, and that's not always the case. Teams have months and months to prepare for that week 1 game. Maybe they have different wrinkles in the game plan or other stuff like that. So I do think week 2 is typically a pretty good week. Excited for the DFS slate today, obviously, bets and props as well. Keaton, hello. Ryan, hello. Baller Brad, what's up? Melissa, what's up? CJ, what's up? JJ Heisman posed by the Minnesota game. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I am an Ohio State fan, so rooted against JJ McCarthy when he was in college, but now that he's out of college, I've kind of become a fan of him, honestly. Really liked him in season long, and I had him anytime touchdown in that Monday night game, plus 560. So that was nice. Shout out to JJ McCarthy for that. Mitchell, what's up? Nice hit last night with in the UFC streets. Kevin, what's up? Glad to find you on your new platform. Yeah, everybody, if you're in here, make sure you go and subscribe to the Rolling Insights YouTube channel. Drop a like on the stream as well. I would appreciate it. Jim, good morning. All right, so unfortunately, no surprise guest today. Hopefully, maybe we can get Matt back on next week. But I know he was busy today. So if you guys have any questions, start dropping those in the chat, and I will run through them. I'm going to go through my thoughts on position by position DFS. We'll talk bets. We'll talk survivor pools. We'll talk touchdowns. All that good stuff. Oh, Jeremiah. Yeah, for sure. That was, I didn't get to watch that game a ton, CJ. I tuned in to like the second half. I like Bo Jackson a lot. I'd like to see him get some more playing time, CJ. I like the way he looks. But okay, so drop your questions in, and then once we get some in the chat, I'll go through them. If we want to go position by position first, we'll start at quarterback. Did the fight look fixed? I did not get to watch the fight. Mitchell, who's in here, I'm sure, watched that. So you can, Mitchell, if you want to reply about that fight being fixed. But I did not get to watch it. So if you guys just want, real quick before we dive in, if you want to know what I was doing last night, obviously I was sweating out actually Notre Dame money line in a parlay. Tyler Buckner is a terrorist and has been losing football games for like 5 years. Somehow he's still on Notre Dame and doesn't play, but still cost them a win somehow. So I was tilting that. And then immediately after that, I got locked out of my DraftKings account for some reason. And there's like no DraftKings support available. This is at like midnight. So yeah, it took me like 2 hours. I couldn't get into my email because I've had my DraftKings account forever. So it's like my old email. Took me forever to get in there. It took me like 2 hours. Finally, I got in that email and was able to reset my password. But I was like freaking out because it's the night before football and I didn't know if I was going to get it handled. I was trying to figure out what to do. I obviously have hundreds of dollars registered in contests. If I couldn't get in to edit them, I would have been losing my mind. So yeah, I was up until like 3 a.m. trying to fix that. Anyways, all right. So quarterback, we'll go position by position, and then we'll talk bets. Starting at quarterback, I think for cash games, you're looking at Justin Fields or Drake May on DraftKings. I think it's those two. I know on the earlier week video, when I did my first look, I put Justin Fields in my lineup. Kind of was entertaining the idea of maybe getting up to Josh Allen, but I think based off all the builds that I've ran through and looked at, I think it makes more sense to drop down and play one of Fields or Drake May. So it kind of up to you guys on that one. I think there'll be ownership on both sides. I personally like Fields, which I put him in the first look lineup. I just think he's safer. We've seen Fields play for multiple different teams. We know he has a stable floor from his rushing. Yes, CJ, to your point, Bills defense looked very slow to me against the Ravens. Even if Justin Fields does not throw as efficiently as he did last week, which I'm probably not expecting him to do that, he has a good rushing floor, a more stable rushing floor than Drake May. Drake May definitely has the better matchup against the Miami Dolphins secondary, but there's more like risk baked in with Drake May, I think. Worse weapons and just more of an unknown. We've seen Justin Fields at multiple stops put fantasy points up with his legs, regardless of what's going on around him. So I like Justin Fields for cash on DraftKings, but I think you can use him or Drake May. If you need that extra 500, you can drop down to Drake May. On FanDuel, so I'll talk FanDuel too for Kevin, and I'm sure there's other people in here that play FanDuel. I think you can use I think most people will probably get up to like Lamar or Josh Allen, but I also would include Drake May on FanDuel because he's a good bit cheaper than those guys, and he's a good bit cheaper than Fields on FanDuel. It's not the $500 difference that is on DraftKings. You get a little bit more room if you drop down to Drake May. So I would include Drake May along with Lamar and Burrow for cash on FanDuel. For tournaments, I really like Josh Allen today. I've talked about him all week. Have a big bet on his anytime touchdown. We've kind of talked about it. Really, really good success against man coverage. Really good success against Aaron Glenn the last few times he's played them. So I do like Josh Allen quite a bit. Still like Fields for tournaments. Plenty. Fine with Lamar for tournaments. Fine with both sides of the Miami-New England game. I kind of like leaning in and playing Miami just because anyone that stacks that game is going to be stacking through Drake May. And betting on, Miami to just bounce back after that bad game last week. They had a lot of turnovers early on in that game, which really, really hurt them. And they were just instantly down like 20 points. We've always liked Miami in these home game spots early on in the season. I definitely think they can play better. New England's defense got absolutely cooked by Geno Smith last week. And the Dolphins had success against this Patriots defense last year. No Christian Gonzalez again. So I kind of like leaning in and playing just heavy Miami stacks in tournaments. And I think it's going to be really, really low owned. And anyone that stacks that game is going to use Drake May. So I kind of like Tua a little bit along with Josh Allen, Justin Fields for tournaments. Lamar in the mix as well. And then you have the Cincy and Jacksonville game, completely fine stacking that game, highest total on the board. No issues there. And then one for larger field that I'm probably not going to be able to get there on the main slate. I'm playing 5 teams on the main slate today, plus my cash team, at least on DraftKings. Probably won't be able to get there, but I like him on the afternoon slate is Bo Nix. Another guy that had a bad week 1 game, but maybe he bounces back here. Indy's defense looked very, very good last week, and they are super banged up. They're missing 2 starting corners, starting D lineman as well. Super banged up defense. It's in the dome. Bo Nix, even though he played terrible last week, was willing to throw the ball down the field, air it out. I could definitely see him bouncing back against a banged up defense. And you just have like a clear stacking partner with him and Cortland Sutton. And then you have a couple cheapies, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. Like you could throw one of those 2 guys in there if you want to double stack it. So Bo Nix, I like for larger field. I'm not going to get there on the main slate, but I'll probably play him on the afternoon slate. Which 2 would you start if Samson, Tracy, Dobbins, and Walker in full PPR? Ryan, I would start Tyrone Tracy, and then Maybe Dobbins too. Just fitting with that banged up Indy defense. I think Denver's going to score today. I'd probably goes those two. Sampson, I'm not worried about. Judkins is going to be active. He's probably not going to play a lot. It's going to be a lot of like short down and distance, if I had to imagine. Sampson's role is still going to be there catching the ball. Brown should be trailing, but I'd probably go Tracy and Dobbins if it were my team. Happy Drake made a booty day. Don't mind that, Trey. What about Caleb Williams on FanDuel? Yeah, Caleb I would put in the Bo Nix tier of I'm not going to get there on the main slate, but I like him. Coming into the week, like 2 days ago, I would have been pretty confident I probably had a Caleb Williams team. It just didn't work out that way for me. I don't play enough teams to get there. But again, we know running quarterbacks can have success against man coverage. Detroit played very heavy man in week 1. They just tried to replicate what Aaron Glenn did a year ago. Caleb can run. I expect Ben Johnson to have some interesting wrinkles in this game coming back to Detroit. I could see him, using Caleb's legs here. Definitely think Caleb is a fine tournament play. No issues at all. Thoughts on Aaron Rodgers for Seattle with their banged up secondary? I don't know. I don't play enough teams to get there. I would have him behind like Bo Nix and Caleb, who I just talked about. But if you wanted to one off, like Metcalf or something, I think that's fine. I'm not expecting Aaron Rodgers really to do what he did last week every week, but I mean, they proved me wrong last week. Maybe they'll do it again. As far as running back goes, on DraftKings, if we're looking at cash, names on DraftKings, I think once again last week the pool was pretty tight. I think that's the case again this week. We have Christian McCaffrey, top projection, going to be the highest owned running back for sure, especially with no Kittle now. Target share should be really good. I'm expecting the efficiency to not be very good, I'll be honest. It wasn't great last week. The 49ers historically have really struggled when George Kittle has been out of the lineup. He does a lot for them, both blocking and just as a receiving threat. So historically, the 49ers offense has not been great with George Kittle off the field. I'm probably expecting that to continue today, especially when we're, subbing in Mac Jones for Brock Purdy. But the volume can make up for that lack of efficiency, which it did last week. He didn't score a touchdown. He wasn't efficient, still got there because of how many touches he got. I think it's probably a similar situation today. So Christian McCaffrey is the first player probably that should go in your cash lineups. And then you have 3 guys after that, that being Chase Brown, James Conner, Devon Achane. Those 4 are probably the cash tier for me. And I would want to play 3 of them. True Love, yes, this is a 3 running back week for me. I think you want to play 3 of those running backs, whichever fit your builds. I really, really like Connor today. I'm trying to just take a stand there and get overweight. I know some people were worried about Trey Benson after last week. I still think the role for Connor was pretty good. He still is going to have a really, really good red zone role. He's still, the Cardinals cut out DeMercado completely last week, and they just ran 2 running backs. So, if he's going to cede a little bit of work to Trey Benson, it's more stomachable for me when they're only playing 2 running backs instead of 3. So we'll see if that trend continues this week. But I really like James Conner. It's a really, really good matchup against Carolina. Carolina, historically bad run defense last year. Does not look like they fixed that whatsoever. I mean, ETN, career high rushing against them. Connor could really, really pop off here. So I like Connor a lot. I'm willing to be over the field on him. So he's probably my second favorite after McCaffrey. Boutte, Juju, or Io Manor full PPR. I'd probably go Booty there, Ryan. Strange yard prop is low, 35.5. No problems with that, Mitchell. I mean, Cincy kind of new defensive coordinator, they were giving up a lot of like dink and dunk to the Browns last week. Could be a similar situation this week, which obviously would fit, fine with Strange. And he was on the field a ton, so I don't mind that at all, Mitchell. Yeah, James Conner is a cash lock for me. I don't know if every team will have him. Some people might prefer Achane, but I do view Conner as a must play for me personally. Tony, what's up? Which two to pick from Connor Hall Gibbs? Is that a tournament or cash, Trey? Thoughts on the 6K running backs? Yeah, Jelly, I would go. Connor's still my favorite. I would probably rank them. Let me pull them up so I have the full list. I would probably rank them. I would go Connor number 1, Achane number 2. If we're talking cash games, I would go Connor, Brown, Achane, Kyron, I guess, like that, or JT and then Kyron. If we're talking tournaments, I would go Connor, Brees, Achane, probably those 3. Top 2 survivor picks. So I used Arizona last week. I'm not sure who you guys used. I've had Dallas in all week. I don't feel confident about it, but I think I'm going to press my luck and try and get by with the Cowboys and just, another week where we don't have to use like a bigger team. Dak, I know it's the Cowboys, but Dak has been so good in these divisional games when he's healthy. So they're at home. I thought the offense looked really good last against the Eagles. They should have beat the Eagles. I know Jalen Carter got ejected immediately, and that affected things, but I thought the offense looked good. And I mean, I liked the offense coming into the season. Obviously, good matchup at home, and I think I'm going to press my luck with Dallas. If you don't want to trust Dallas, I would probably. I'm assuming a lot of people are using Arizona that didn't use them last week, so maybe you could look there. But I'm going to roll with the Cowboys and see what they can do. Can you play both Cook and Hall in the same lineup? Yeah, I think you can. James Cook played more in passing down situations last week than we have seen from him in the past. I'm going to be watching to see if that continues this week. That was encouraging to see, and I have no problem playing those guys together in a lineup. Puka or Chase, bigger priority? I would say Puka for me, CJ. Once I went back and looked at things closer, just too stable of a workload for Puka. It's a pass funnel defense. He's cheaper. I'm just going to play him. I'm going to play him in cash. You said that was GPP, Trey. So Connor Hall Gibbs. I'd probably go Brees and James Conner there. Chris, what's up? Yeah, I'm feeling good today, Chris. Hopefully you are too. Steven, what's up? There is a chance the Browns win today, honestly. I'm a little I didn't bet many sides this week. I did take the Browns plus 11.5. I thought that was too many points. Jim Schwartz has had pretty good success, honestly, against the Browns' divisional opponents. It's early in the season. Defense looked good last week. I could see it being a close game. Dak Neighbors CD game stack for tournaments. Definitely, Mitchell. I I have a Dak double, I'm pretty sure. Definitely like that spot for the Cowboys. So what I'm hearing is use my $20 free bet on Browns money line. Anytime I get free bets, I like to put touchdown parlays in. But if you wanna do that, I don't hate it. They're definitely any divisional game could go. I'm surprised this line's held at like 12 though, like 11.5, 12. I thought it would come down to like 10. I just think that's too many points for an AFC North game this early in the season. Is everyone going to be playing Hollywood and Ridley in cash? I believe so, CJ. Yes, on DraftKings. Yes. Puka or Abuka in a touchdown-only league? I'd go Puka, Jim. I would go Puka there. All right, let's go wide receiver. For cash, DraftKings, I think you're looking at Hollywood Brown being pretty high owned. They just priced him dumb. So I think Hollywood Brown's going to be pretty high owned. You have both the Bengals guys are going to be owned. Puka Nacua is going to be owned. Calvin Ridley, Tedero McMillan, Ricky Pearsall, that kind of group. And then you have Jackson Smith-Njigba as well at 6K, coming off that huge target share he saw in week 1. So that's probably like the cash pool for tournaments. Spots that I like. Obviously, Rome Odunze laddered him, tweeted that out yesterday. Really like the spot for Rome today. I think he's a very, very good tournament play. You can play him as a one-off. You can mini him up with Jahmyr Gibbs or Jameson Williams. Don't mind that. I really like Devonta Smith in tournaments today. So if you guys think back and remember in the Super Bowl, I was pretty high on him in the props market. I think we had him over longest reception. We had him touchdown. We had him Super Bowl MVP. Was really, really high on him in that matchup. And it's the same matchup, except for this time we get Dallas Goedert out, and both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith have huge split increases with Goddard off the field. It really, really affects them. Scott, what's up? Huge bonus for both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith with no Goddard today. Devonta Smith's always been very good against man coverage. Casey will play pretty man-heavy. He's always been good against the Chiefs. Like, he has owned Spagnuolo. If I just pull up his game log. So, obviously, we have the Super Bowl this year, 4 for 69 and a touchdown. And then if we go back to 2023, Super Bowl, 7 for 100. He's got a 6 for 99 in there, and then he's got a 7 for 122. He's quite literally never had a bad game against Steve Spagnuolo. Now we get no Goddard. He's pretty affordable. He's coming off a week where like the Eagles didn't do anything, so people probably don't want to play him. He's in the perfect range where you can get he's like an ownership pivot. So like I think JSN at 6K is going to be higher owned than him. I think like the cheaper guys, when you think about like McMillan and Ridley, those guys are probably going to be higher owned than him. So he's kind of like in that sweet spot in between them. So Devonta Smith, Rome Odunze, those are two I really like for tournaments. Chris Olave, again, I highly doubt he gets a ton of ownership. He's the same price as Ridley, and I would just assume anyone playing cash is probably playing Ridley in that. So that should carry over to smaller field tournaments as well. I think Ridley's going to be a good bit higher owned than Olave, and it's the same spot. Chris Olave was top 10 in the NFL in expected fantasy points last week at the wide receiver position. Got a ton of targets. Could have had a way bigger game than he did. And I think New Orleans can score here. So I really like Chris Olave again in GPPs. Trying to see. Pickens is fine. Oh, and then the Miami guys, like I talked about at quarterback, I'm going to take a stand and play some Tua today. Even if you're not playing Tua and you just want a one-off or something like that, mini stack, love the Miami guys today, particularly Tyreek. Geno was cooking New England, especially deep down the field. Tyreek has very significant, I feel like people don't talk about this enough. Tyreek has had very significant home road splits during his time with the Dolphins. He's always better at home, and he has always been good in these early season Dolphins home games, since he got there, like let's just go look at some of these. So if we go back to last season, and he wasn't even that good last year. But if we look at this last year, home game, week 1 against the Jags, 7 for 130 and a touchdown. And then he struggled. The next week, it was a home game against the Bills, and he struggled, though. He has struggled against Buffalo since coming to the Dolphins as well. So not putting a ton of stock into that. And then just some other home games last year against Arizona, 6 for 72. Against the Jets, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. If we go back to 2023, earliest season home game for him was against the Broncos, 9 for 157 and a touchdown. He had another October 8th at home against the Giants, 8 for 181 and a touchdown. October 15th against the Carolina Panthers, 6 for 163 and a touchdown. Just really, really good splits at home in Miami for him. So I think he's a very, very good tournament play today. Cortland Sutton, good tournament play. Like I said, Indy very banged up, especially on the back end of their defense. Probably not going to be owned at 6,300. Stable target share. We know him and Knicks have a good connection there. If we want to talk cheaper guys, I wrote up Elick Iomanner in the waiver wire blog this week. I know Matt is on him, who wasn't able to come on the stream today, but I know Matt's on him. I liked him a lot coming out of Stanford. Very encouraged by what I saw from him last week. So I think Iomanner for cheap is in play. I think Tyquan Thornton for cheap is in play. If we can get any situation where Thornton sees Adoree Jackson, Mahomes is going to look his way. And Tyquan Thornton had a ton of, unrealized air yards in week 1. It's been a sticky topic all week, but I think Tyquan Thornton is good for cheap. And then I think Troy Franklin is good for cheap too. He was the clear number 2 for Denver last week in routes, targets, has rapport with Bo Nix. They played in college together. Again, leaky back end of the Colts secondary potentially with these injuries. Maybe he can get loose for a deep ball. So there's actually some viable, cheap tournament plays I think you can look at this week. I'm not touching the Seattle backfield, Garrett, this week. I don't play enough teams to get there, but I would be fine doing a Jalen Warren, Jackson Smith-Njigba mini stack on a team. If you're playing a pretty chalky team, like a Bengals team or something like that, that could be a way to get in, get a little bit different, because I don't think anyone will play any of those Steelers running backs. So I'd be fine. I just don't play enough teams to get there, but I don't want to touch the Seattle backfield, unfortunately. I'm trying to see if there's anyone I missed at receiver that I like. You can play Garrett Wilson with Fields. Weirdly, he had a huge game last week, but I don't think anyone's going to play him. I'm going to be honest. All right, and then tight end on DraftKings. On FanDuel, you're playing Trey McBride in cash games. On DraftKings, you are playing Harold Fannin. I think that's kind of what you do. Now, I like Juwan Johnson, too, on DraftKings. I would play Fannin in cash, but I'm completely fine getting up to playing Juwan in tournaments. He's probably going to be a good bit lower owned than Fannin, and he correlates with McCaffrey, assuming you have him in your lineup. So I like Juwan and Fannin on DraftKings. I'm just going to eat the chalk this week at tight end. If you're not playing one of those two, I like Hunter Henry from the Patriots. I like Mark Andrews from the Ravens. I talked about that with Steve on Friday, but Mark Andrews just owns the Browns. 11 touchdowns in his career against the Cleveland Browns. He's probably going to score a touchdown today. So Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry for tournaments. I know someone earlier asked about favorite Patriots receiver. I would actually play Drake May with Hunter Henry if I was going to pick somebody, I think. No Tonjes for me. I would rather just play Fannin, even at ownership. I'll probably just pass. Yeah, and then Strange is fine too, Trey. No issues with that. Strange, Juwan, Fannin, Henry and Andrews. That's probably my pool. You could do the flop lag though and just take Njoku. Everyone. So Last week, I told you guys to play Fanon, and everyone was playing Njoku. We were right about that. This week, everyone's playing Fanon. You can just go back to Njoku this week, like just completely flip it again. I don't think that's a bad. I don't think it's a bad move in tournaments. Diggs or Pacheco and half PPR. I'd play Diggs. Just hope his snaps go up and it's a good matchup. So I would just rock with him. All right. So overall, stuff that I'm trying to be like ahead of this week in DFS. I want to get in on Miami big time and just hope that they kind of do what they do, which is like nuke at home in these early season home games. So I want to get ahead on Miami. Obviously love Odunze, love Devonta Smith, love James Conner, love the Josh Allen stuff. I like doing Josh Allen naked with Brees, or you could do a Justin Fields naked with Cook on the other side, something like that. Getting a little unique if you're playing smaller field stuff. I think you can get weird with that. Really like Brees Hall and James Conner, Rome Odunze, Devonta Smith, and the Miami stuff. Probably off the top of my head, like the stuff I want to get ahead on the field of. Best defense is, Saints for me there, CJ. Just like I said, San Fran's struggling without Kittle. It's Mac Jones. Saints are at home. I think the Saints are fine. All right, as far as if you have any other questions like DFS, anything, go ahead and ask. But as far as betting stuff goes, like I said, I hate this Browns team this year. I took them under wins, but I do like them to cover today. I think it's too many points. They could certainly prove me wrong, and the Ravens just win by 30. Wouldn't surprise me, but I thought that was a big number. I like the Miami Dolphins. Short favorites here. There's a 1.5 out there. I just took them on the money line, but I like the Dolphins here today, as dumb as that sounds. And I like the Broncos. I want to get in on the Broncos with how banged up the Colts defense is. I think I'm going to buy in probably on the Broncos a little bit. That about does it for sides that I'm interested in. Prop-wise, obviously gave out the Odunze ladder, gave out the Josh Allen anytime touchdown. Those are like my two favorite props today. As far as touchdowns, other than Josh Allen, I did other than Josh Allen, I like Tyreek touchdown. I like James Conner again, but he's obviously he's like minus 160. But if you could do like a parlay, I like Brees touchdown, Josh Allen, Brees, Tyreek, and James Conner. Those are probably my just favorite off the top of my head. I did do a first touchdown parlay. So let me pull that up. I'll give that out to you guys. It was Mark Andrews, Tyreek Hill, James Conner. First touchdowns. It's like 447 to 1 or something, like crazy odds. Obviously, don't bet heavy on this. Just put a couple bucks on it, and we can have a sweat there in the early games. Let me see if there's anything I missed here. Any last minute questions? Drop those in as well. Weirdly, there's like less injury news today than there was last week because we were kind of waiting on that McCaffrey stuff, and then we got like the Darnell Mooney stuff that affected things. But there's less injuries today. Not really much in the way of injury news that we were waiting on there. I saw Jawan Jennings is active. Trent Williams is active. Kind of what I expected. Jennings being in affects Pearsall a little bit, but not a ton. Tony, it was James Conner, Mark Andrews, Tyreek Hill. I'll post it though if you guys miss it. But Conner, Andrews, Tyreek. Tua, Lawrence, Young, which need a win more? It might be Trevor Lawrence, man. I don't know. No, I mean they still won though last week. It's probably Tua because the vibes around Miami are just so bad. It's probably Tua. DraftKings cash Kyron and Jamar Chase versus Puka and Connor. I take the second one, Jelly, for sure. Like that second one better for cash games. Matt, what's up? You said Fields, McBride, Rams, or May, Chase Brown, Saints in cash. Fields, McBride, Rams. Matt, can you let me know if that's FanDuel or DraftKings? I don't remember the exact salaries for FanDuel off the top of my head to add that up. Trey, yeah, I think Juju's fine. I'd probably rather, like, if I'm playing tournaments, my thought process would change. I really like Juju in that first game, but that was a single game slate versus an actual, full slate. I would probably rather bet on the upside of Thornton just catching a deep ball as opposed to Juju. You're going to need quite a bit of catches, I think, for Juju to get there, especially because he's going to play a lot of time in the slot. He's probably going to be on DeJean quite a bit, which isn't a great matchup. So I think Juju's fine. Anyone on the field for KC is fine, especially at their prices. But I'd rather bet on Thornton hitting on a deep ball for tournaments. Defense, cash, I think you play Rams or the Saints. Tournaments, those two are fine as well. I like pairing Connor with the Cardinals if you can get up to that in tournaments. Steelers, Seahawks, either one of those are fine. If you really need money, you can go all the way down to the Browns. I don't hate that at 22. Like, they can get a couple sacks. But I think I like Connor with the Cardinals D in tournaments if you can make that fit. Jim, non-PPR, Pacheco and Jawan and Mooney. It's probably Pacheco and Jawan, Jim. If it was normal week, I would say Mooney over Pacheco, but first game back, he missed a lot of time in camp and then was not ready to go last week. I just don't know if he's going to play a full role. And I don't know if we're going to know that until like right before the game or, once the game's going on tonight. So I would go Pacheco and Jawan for this week. DraftKings. Okay, so Fields, McBride, Rams, May, Chase Brown, Saints. If it's DraftKings cash, I would go that second one, May, Chase Brown, and the Saints. All right, let's see. I don't see any other big inactive news. Last week I posted, obviously I do the same game parlay blog over on Rolling Insights. We hit that last week, and I did another one in the Cardinals game, so you guys can go check that out, rollinginsights.com. I'll retweet the post in a little bit. Who do you like in Sunday Night Football? Yeah, it should be a good game. Falcons and Vikings. This line was like 4.5 for a while. It's down to 3.5 now. Some threes out there too. I would lean Minnesota if I had to pick a side, but I don't know if I would bet. I don't know if I'm going to bet Minnesota cover, but I would lean Minnesota only because I trust the coaching staff a little bit more. Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, I trust him a little bit more. I think it's close. But Michael Penix, first of all, we know Atlanta is missing some key offensive linemen there. And they really struggled to run the ball last week against Tampa. And if they can't run the ball efficiently and effectively, that puts a lot on the shoulders of Michael Penix. And at times during his young career, Michael Penix has really struggled under pressure. What do we know about Brian Flores? He's going to bring pressure. He's going to blitz. Brian Flores had Caleb Williams and the Bears offense in shackles in the second half of that game. Just completely doing whatever he wanted, getting after Caleb Williams. And if he gets cooking like that again, it could be a long night for Penix. So I would lean towards the Minnesota side, but not sure if I want to bet them to cover. But Brian Flores is the difference for me in that one. I would take Minnesota. All right. Overall, lots of people in here. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you go subscribe, Rolling Insights on YouTube for all my content. And we go live every single day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and then we do this stream at 11 a.m. So I'd love to see more of you in the streams throughout the week if you guys can make it. We talk, the primetime games, DFS, bets, whatever's going on in the sports world. But thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck today with your bets, your DFS contest, your season-long leagues, survivor pools. I'm going to need that good luck because I'm rocking with the Cowboys, a team that I never trust. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, hit the like button, Melissa. Thank you, guys. I love you all. I'm feeling good today. I think we're going to have a good day today. So good luck with whatever you guys are playing and betting. And I will see everybody tomorrow at 4 o'clock on the stream.